So welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Trish and I focus on green beauty, clean beauty, mostly skincare, sometimes some makeup and perfume reviews, so welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about clean beauty, green beauty, what it means to me, kind of where I'm at right now with my philosophy. If you frequent my channel, you kind of have an idea about my philosophy in general. I obviously intersperse that throughout my videos, but I've never done a dedicated video on the topic, so I figured I should go ahead and do that for you guys. The response was pretty good when I threw that out there in my last video to see if you wanted me to do one, and it seems like you guys do, so here I am. I'm going to talk about that. Just to do some quick housekeeping though, I want to let you know I'm not going to be reviewing the Boxwalla Beauty Box October box or the Clean Beauty Box October box, and that is because I'm just really feeling product overwhelm really acutely right now. I just want to get through a good amount of products over the next couple months and just try to decrease that feeling of product overwhelm. So I'm going to take a pass on both those boxes. I don't know what they have in store for December. I think Claire gave me some hints when we met up in June when I was in San Diego, but I can't remember what she told me, which I'm kind of glad about because I'm feeling excited to be surprised for both of those December boxes, because I know that in December they always try to do an amazing job, which I think they do, but I know in December they try to make it extra special for the holidays, so I'm really excited about what they'll have in store for us for December. So I feel like by taking a pass, I'll just come back really renewed and refreshed for December to do those reviews for you guys. I also just want to say that, you know, the Boxwalla Beauty Box is featuring a African Botanics product, which is really, really expensive. It's $180 for the mask that they are featuring. And I want you to know that I take it very seriously when I am reviewing a product that is so expensive. And even though, you know, these boxes are a great way to try something that is, you know, a good value, I still want to feel like I'm really excited about the product and really want to stand behind the product that is so costly. So what goes behind my feeling about reviewing a product that is so expensive is not just necessarily am I going to buy it in the future, because I'm still happy to review products that I'm not necessarily going to buy in the future, but you know, first of all, am I excited about the product? How do I feel about the brand? Have I had an experience with them in the past, just in terms of like the brand owners, the brand in general? Have I tried their products in the past? Do I feel like the ingredients are worth it? Like, are the first 4 or 5 ingredients, you know, do I feel like it warrants the price? And just kind of looking in general at the product. It just didn't really seem to meet my criteria. So that's another reason why I also decided to take a pass on the African Botanics product. So, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm trashing the product or the brand or anything, but just overall, just kind of like looking at those factors with that particular product and brand, and then just feeling like I needed to take a pass for products in general for October. It just kind of became a no-brainer for me to just take a pass on the boxes and then come back for December, just like I said, feeling kind of refreshed and renewed and ready to review more products for you guys. So now let's go ahead and jump into the topic of clean beauty, green beauty. I'm sure that most of you know that the labels that companies will use, like clean, green, natural, eco, even organic, don't mean anything. There's no regulation in terms of those terms. If you see the label like USDA organic, that is regulated, but just the word organic on a marketing label doesn't mean anything. So that means you really have to do your own research. So for instance, when Sephora says, you know, clean at Sephora, they are going to have their own guidelines, which are actually pretty loose. I'm not going to dive into what Sephora says that is clean. So for a lot of you guys who are relatively strict with your idea of what is clean, it's probably not going to pass muster for many of you. So there will be, you know, Caudalie is considered clean at Sephora, and then also RMS is considered clean at Sephora. So those are going to be 2 very different types of brands that are considered clean at Sephora. And then you're going to have other retailers like Credo. What they do is they have a list of ingredients that they don't allow. They use the terminology dirty. I'm going to get into that a little bit later into the video. I don't particularly love that terminology of saying dirty, but they've got their list of dirty ingredients. Integrity Botanicals, they have a list of free from, so they've got their free from ingredient list. Detox Market, they also have an ingredients standards page, so they have a list of ingredients we don't allow. I kind of like that language a little bit better. So in terms of retailers, you can typically find on their website, what it means to them to either be clean or green, or what their standards are, the ingredients they typically don't allow in their products. So that's how you can find out from a retailer, what their standards are. Now, in terms of a brand, they're probably going to do the same thing. Of course, there's just too many brands to parse out in terms of what they consider clean or green or natural. What I typically do when I'm researching out a product that I really want to do a deep dive on is, if it's an ingredient that I'm not familiar with, I will just look up the ingredient and see what I can find. I know a lot of people like to start with the EWG, or the Environmental Working Group, but that is actually not my favorite place to go. I have some issues with the EWG. One of my big issues with the EWG is they don't have a toxicologist on staff, or at least some of the most recent criticisms that I've been hearing about them, reading about them, in terms of just podcasts that I've been listening to and articles that I've been reading, the most recent ones that I could find. One of the big criticisms is that they don't have a toxicologist on staff. Their information doesn't necessarily seem to be that evidence-based. That's a big criticism of them. They do tend to be pretty fear-based, and they do tend to have a bit of a political agenda. So I wouldn't say a little bit of a political agenda. They do have a big political agenda. So they definitely are not coming from an objective perspective. So I would not look at the EWG as the be-all, end-all. I think they can be a good starting point, or they could be one reference, but I wouldn't use the EWG as your sole reference in terms of deciding if you want to use a product or not. Like I said, what I'll typically do is look at an ingredient list. If it's an ingredient I'm not sure about, I will just Google that ingredient and then go to different sites that give me a good breadth of perspectives, like maybe the EWG, but then I'll also go to formulators websites that do come from more of a scientific mindset, like Lab Muffin is a good one. She's a YouTuber and she's a scientist. The Beauty Brains, that can also be a good one. I think they do a podcast that I enjoy. There's also Chemical of the Day. She is actually in the natural beauty realm. She's a formulator. Her site is actually not active, but it's a good archive to look up particular ingredients. There's also Truth in Aging. I like Truth of Aging a lot. I think that they're pretty unbiased. So basically, you just have to look up each individual ingredient. I like to go to several different types of sources, some that land on the more natural green beauty end of things, some that are kind of more sciencey end of things, and then just kind of take both perspectives. And then I just kind of land in a place that seems to feel comfortable for me. And that's what I suggest for you, is you just kind of have to land in a place that feels good for you and not feel swayed by a particular camp and where you feel like you should be landing. You just have to go with what feels comfortable for you. That's what I suggest. So even though the world of green beauty has gotten kind of strained and pulled in all these different directions, and there are aspects of the green beauty movement or green beauty, space, whatever you want to call it, that I don't particularly love, and I'll get to that in a minute here. I still like the term green beauty, and I'm keeping my name Green Beauty Trish because I love green beauty and what it means to me, and what it means to me is just that focus on plant-based ingredients, botanical ingredients, but I also love the addition of kind of those more, science, technology ingredients such as, retinoids, vitamin C esters. I don't want to shun science. I don't want to shun the progression that we're making because, as you guys know, I love my actives and I love the strides that are being made within the natural world merging with science. I think there's some exciting things that are happening. I think it's really exciting to embrace both worlds, and I think there are brands who are doing it really, really well. Like, for instance, you guys hear me talk so much about Live Botanical, and I think Carolyn is somebody who, obviously is very rooted and very steeped in the botanical world, as she's an herbalist, and she, the overwhelming majority of her ingredients are plant oils, botanicals, herbs. But she also embraces the use of some of those actives and of course I've got it written down here, tetrahexyl decyl ascorbate, the vitamin C ester. She uses that in one of her products, and so she's not shying away from some of these actives. And then there's Heart of Gold, which is another Portland-based company, and that is formulated by Ali Drazen, and she's the same way. You know, she's completely steeped in the plant world, botanicals, and she's an herbalist, but yet she will also use some of those more sciencey sounding ingredients like D-ribose. So that's where I really am leaning towards. But then I also really love using some of those conventional products too, especially in the makeup world, like Charlotte Tilbury and Hourglass. I really try hard that when I do play in that world that they are cruelty free. But I'm not going to shun, you know, all conventional products. Like I said, I do like to play in that world too, mostly in the makeup realm. But I'm not going to judge anybody else for whatever products they're using, and I would hope that nobody would judge me and my use of those types of products as well. So that's kind of it in a nutshell in terms of where I'm at with green beauty, clean beauty. That's why I've chosen my tagline to be mindful beauty, not to suggest that I meditate every day or that I'm enlightened in some way that's, you know, higher than somebody else, but basically just to make mindful choices, just to be thinking about your choices, whether it's reading ingredient labels or not reading ingredient labels, just making that choice. Like for instance, I bought a shampoo and conditioner that's completely conventional, and I made the choice to not read the ingredient list. I was just like, you know what, I'm interested in trying it, I'm gonna give it a shot. I just decided not to read the ingredient list, and you know, it turns out that I didn't really like it, and I'll talk about that in an empties video down the line, but I made that conscious choice to not read the ingredient list. So I'm not going to get upset about it, and that's just the choice that I decided to make. I just think it's important to know the choices that you're making, why you're making them. So I think you get the picture of what I'm trying to say with all of that. And then just to end on the non-judgmental note that people should not be judgmental of choices that other people are making, especially when it comes to the skincare or makeup that they are choosing to use. But where I maybe am going to be sounding a little judgmental here is what really drives me crazy is sort of that clean versus dirty language. So I personally don't have a problem with the term clean beauty. I don't really think that just because you're saying the word clean, that inherently that means you're saying the other thing is dirty. So when I'm reviewing the clean beauty box, I've never gotten the feeling from them that they think that because this is the clean beauty box that they are saying that conventional beauty is dirty. I've never gotten that feeling from their literature, from their website, anything that Claire has ever posted on her Instagram or social media. And there are a lot of other brands who use that terminology of clean beauty, green beauty, whatever, who are just like, they're just doing their thing and they are not really bothering with what's going on in conventional beauty. And hopefully you're getting that from me too, that when I say clean beauty, eco beauty, green beauty, I am not then using that in like a binary way or a black and white way, that when I'm saying clean beauty or I think that this is clean, that then I am inherently saying that, boom, I think that everything else is dirty. I am definitely not saying that, and I want to be very, very clear about that, that is how I feel. And I'm going to continue to use the word clean or green because I kind of want to make it a positive thing, and I don't want it to be that just because other people are using it in that way, that means that they have sort of taken away the positive aspect of the green beauty movement. I feel really strongly about that. So that is also another reason why I have chosen to keep my name Green Beauty Trish, because from the get-go and when I started my my blog back in 2009, I had very positive feelings around the green beauty movement, and I want to keep that. I don't want to just change it because it's sort of been hijacked by a certain number of beauty brands or bloggers or whatever. So having said that, yeah, it does really make me frustrated when I see certain brands saying the clean versus dirty. And I actually did just yesterday go to a brand's Instagram feed very recently, and they were using the clean versus dirty, and literally that's what they said. So they posted a comparison of, I think it was a Too Faced mascara, and they labeled it dirty, and then they said that their mascara was clean. And yeah, I just think that's ridiculous. I mean, to say that Too Faced mascara is dirty, I just think that is just, I think it's just silly. I think that we don't need to be creating an environment of us versus them. I also think that it's just unnecessary to make people feel like those people who are looking at this brand's feed, that if they possibly have a Too Faced mascara in their drawer that they're using every once in a while, that they're dirty or they're bad for using Too Faced mascara. I don't understand the benefit of doing that. I really think that should just stop. I think that we need to just the brand should be talking about why their ingredients are great, why their mascara is wonderful, what it does, the benefits of it. They don't need to be dragging or roasting other brands. I just think that is absolutely unnecessary. It's scaremongering, it's fear-mongering. I think it's classless, and I don't like it. And then riding on the coattails of that, and I hope we're getting away from this, because I don't follow that brand anymore on social media, because they've also used in the past the whole cancer thing, like talking about cancer and using cancer as a way to sell their product, which I think is just beyond distasteful. So I hope that is decreasing. I haven't seen a lot of brands doing that lately, but I'm also not following brands who've done that. When I see a brand do that, I just immediately unfollow them, because like I said, I think it's beyond distasteful. So I think it's like hurtful and shameful. So maybe you guys can speak to this, but I'm hoping that is decreasing and that is a trend that's going away. But honestly, I can't really speak to it, because like I said, I don't follow brands who have a history of doing that. So hopefully that is decreasing. So I talked about this in my very first wellness video, so I don't necessarily want to repeat all of the information. I can give the link up here to it, but I will mention it again. And I have a really hard time with what I see as the hypocrisy around talking about cancer and the supposed link between cancer and parabens. And everybody gets so, I don't want to say everybody, a lot of people get all worked up about parabens causing cancer, when that has actually not been proven. It has not been proven that parabens cause cancer, but actually what has been proven is that alcohol and increased alcohol use, and even small amounts of alcohol, have been shown to increase your risk of breast cancer. That has actually been proven. So I will link the New York Times article that talks all about it. And I will read a quick little excerpt from the article, that alcohol plays a causal role in cancers of the throat, neck, voice box, liver, and colon, as well as esophageal squamous cell carcinoma, and in women, breast cancer. So just one alcoholic drink a day can increase your breast cancer risk. And this was from a report that analyzed 119 studies, data on 12 million women, and over 250,000 breast cancer cases. So this was actually a very robust report that looked obviously at over 250,000 breast cancer cases. So this is very legitimate data. So the thing that kind of drives me bonkers is when you see these brands who are making women get scared about their skincare causing cancer, but then the same brand will show, a glass of wine or some kind of alcoholic beverage, like, hey, let's have our girls' night out, or let's toast to the weekend. And that's the actual product that has been proven to cause breast cancer, not the parabens. So that's what kind of drives me a little crazy. So I am more concerned about the stress on our lives, what we eat, what we drink, what we're smoking. To me, that has a much bigger impact on our risk for cancer than the makeup that we're using. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I am not trying to make anybody feel badly for drinking, or to, again, be like holier than thou about their alcohol consumption. But it is something to be aware of. It's information that women should have so that you can make conscious decisions about alcohol consumption. And it should be a bigger concern. Alcohol should be a bigger concern than what you're putting, on your face in terms of your lotion or your skincare, your cream, your mask, or your mascara. We need to be putting our risks in perspective, and these companies who are fear-mongering like that, they need to check themselves big time. So I'm hoping this trend will stop or at least will decrease. And yeah, so that's a big thought that I have in terms of the clean beauty, green beauty realm. So future me here, I realized that when I went back to edit my video that I forgot a couple salient points that I really wanted to convey in this video. So here I am, I'm sitting down basically adding an addendum to this video. What I wanted to add here is I was just talking about parabens and risks in perspective in terms of in relation to alcohol consumption. So what I didn't really convey very well in that first part of the video is that I do avoid parabens. I also avoid phthalates. I avoid petroleum products, and specifically with phthalates. Phthalates are ubiquitous. They are everywhere. They are in that thermal paper that you get with receipts. They are in plastics. They are in shampoos, conditioners, lotions, perfumes. So while I'm not necessarily worried about spritzing a conventional perfume every now and then, I am concerned about the cumulative exposure of phthalates or parabens in my body. I feel like the more I can avoid those ingredients in my products, the better. So that is what I am personally going to do. So that is why I avoid those ingredients. I like to avoid petroleum products just because of the petroleum industry. So that is why I avoid those ingredients. I would rather be safe than sorry when it comes to that. And then I would also like to address how I was speaking about brands or various bloggers or YouTubers or Instagrammers who do use fear-mongering extreme language, like using cancer to scare people to want to use their products or buy certain brands. It is not as if conventional bloggers, YouTubers, brands aren't doing the same thing on their end. Like I have heard more than once certain YouTubers in the conventional world will say, or toxicologists or chemists will say that if it's on the shelves, then it's safe to use. And just like I was saying, I think it's ridiculous to say that, certain ingredients will cause cancer. I think it's ridiculous to say that if it's on the shelf, then that means it's safe to use. And a case in point is with Johnson & Johnson and their baby powder and talc. So we all know that there's a huge case against Johnson & Johnson for having talc in their baby powder, and it turns out that absolutely not. It was absolutely not safe. In fact, it was incredibly harmful. So that is just a case in point right there where something was on the shelf. It was on the shelf for years and years and years, and it was not safe, and actually it was causing harm to customers. So that is absolutely not something that you can say that just because it is on the shelf that it is going to be safe to use. So I feel like there are extreme positions, extreme statements that are being said on both sides, and in my opinion, neither one is appropriate. So my position is that both camps need to be respectful of each other. I think that there needs to be like fair and balanced statements that are being made rather than fear-mongering. And I think that blanket statements need to be just banished by saying like, oh, synthetics are the best, or all synthetics are safe, or every single natural ingredient is safe. They just really turn me off. I think that we need to live in the world of nuanced discussions. The gray area is basically where I like to live in. I find those discussions the most interesting. So it sort of gets back to what I was saying before in terms of clean beauty and green beauty. I think if you use those terms, it doesn't mean that you are thinking about things in black and white. And that is actually why I'm going to continue to use the word green beauty. I think it's important to kind of claim those words for your own. I think that there are plenty of YouTubers, beauty bloggers out there who are using the term green beauty responsibly, who aren't using it in a fear-mongering way. That's, like I said, that's how I hope that I'm using that term. I hope that's what's being conveyed to you all. And so, yeah, I'm going to continue to use it and embrace it. And that's where I stand on that. So those are the two additional points I wanted to make to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that I didn't cover everything, so if you have any questions in terms of like where I stand on clean beauty, green beauty, if I didn't touch on something, please feel free to ask. If you disagree with me on something, please feel free to state that. If you want to, illuminate some part of the discussion, that would be great. So let's open up this conversation. I think it would be really great. I know that you guys are going to be wonderful at doing that, but let's just definitely keep it respectful. That would be amazing if we could do that, which I know that we can. And yeah, so that is pretty much it. Like I said, let's keep this conversation going down in the comments. And yeah, I think that about sums it up. I know I'm probably going to forget something else, but I don't think I'm going to attempt to do addendum number 2. So I'm just going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.